It's Steve from the Seaside Allotment channel. I'm just going to do a quick walk around the plots, show you what's going on, and it has to be quick because I'm not feeling very well, so on with the show. So first in the tour on my plot is the Polytunnel, and I'm just going to sit down for a few minutes and I'll show you around in here. Okay, let's take a look at what we've got. So these are Christmas potatoes, and I've got a batch in there, I've got a batch in there, and they are starting to die back a bit now. They were planted at the beginning of August, so that's probably no surprise. I did lose maybe 4 or 5 plants to blight, but all of these seem to be okay. As I say, there's some dieback on them, but it's not blight. And I've got a little carrot bed here, and well, it's useful to have, but it's not the best place to grow carrots really in the Polytunnel. And then gradually, as I'm clearing these carrots, I'm planting chard, and then we're on to the lettuce and spring onion beds. Now I am leaving these to grow on to quite mature plants, because this Polytunnel is going to feed us with salads for December and January, so we want a really nice selection of mature lettuces, and you can see they're starting to come on quite nicely. It's always tricky getting it right because you don't want them to come on to grow on too far, too early, but obviously you want them to grow into nice mature plants by the time you need them. And I'm going to be fleecing this bed in the worst of the frosts, because although lettuces will stand a frost no problem, they don't want repeated hard frosts, at least not in my opinion. I've got some little cauliflowers here, still not quite decided what to do with those. Got my last late harvest of sweet corn there, and that's doing quite nicely. Most of the stuff that's outside here has rotted, so I'm pleased that I've got it in the Polytunnel. And then I've got my little indoor brassica bed, and those are growing on really strongly. I'm really pleased with those. And then they're interplanted with rocket, and oh, rocket is such a great winter vegetable. And then I've got my tomato plants, and these are the only ones that are now surviving in the Polytunnel, and I suspect I'll be taking these home and putting them in the conservatory soon to join the others that are already in the conservatory. But they are doing well, but they're not quite ripening yet, and they probably will never ripen in the Polytunnel. It's just not going to be warm enough. And I've got my overwintering carrot experiment there. I just snuck in some Chinese cabbages, and then I've got another bed of lettuces, and these were planted maybe 3 weeks after the ones that you've just seen, and so they're quite a long way behind, but they will catch up pretty quickly. And then I've got my overwintering celery bed, and then I've got the last of my cucumbers, and literally those probably are the last 2 cucumbers there. They're probably not, I'm not going to get any more. I've got plenty on, little ones, but I don't think these will grow to maturity, so that's a shame, but it is what it is. And then the bench is basically full of brassicas, chard, beets, spinach, lettuces, lamb's lettuce, more brassicas, etc, 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 and spring onions. All of these will overwinter for an early harvest in spring, and some of those are going in the Polytunnel, and some of those are going to go in the little greenhouse, and a lot of them are going to go in the empty spots that I'm opening up in the coal frames and the little hoop tunnels. So that, I think, is pretty much it for the Polytunnel, and There's the harvest that I've just done, and I'll be showing you that at the end of the video. So we're just going to do a quick skim around here. So I've got some true spinach here. This bed's pretty much finishing now. I showed you it before. No point digging it out at the moment though, because it's still got some decent lettuces in there, and the new ones aren't ready to go in yet. Spring onions in here, winter miners lettuce in there, chard, another bed that's just emptying, another bed full of gorgeous lettuces. Ideally those will not mature until next year. A few leeks, winter miners lettuce. And one thing I've just done is I've sprayed all of these little hoop tunnels with, I can't remember what it's called, Sun Guard or something like that, but basically it's just a spray that I think it's hydrophobic, so it loves water, and it, instead of the water sort of beading up when it condenses on the underside of this polythene, it flattens out, and so the light flows through it much more reliably, but it also, because it's flat against the polythene rather than a big bead, it evaporates much quicker. So the result is that none of these have got any evaporation on the insides of them, as you can see. So that's much improved, and it's the same stuff you put on polytunnels. Winter radish, salad bed. Another salad bed, true spinach, rocket, salads, red cabbage, New Zealand spinach, salads, just the last of the carrots in here. Well, not the last of the carrots, but the last of the black carrots, which have been real magnets for carrot fly, so they're not really that great. They need, I mean, you do get some decent carrot off them, but you need to chop out the bits that have been eaten by carrot flies, so it's not ideal. I'm definitely going to do something different next year to try and keep on top of the carrot fly. My radicchio in here, which is looking really nice, a bit more salad. Even with all these salad beds at this time of year, it's we're only probably feeding ourselves and just, I don't know, 3 or 4 extra people, something like that. It's not much. More salad beds, but we are leaving some of the salads to grow on a bit, because we're definitely going to need them to be more mature than this by the time we switch just to feeding ourselves, which will be in November time. Odds and sods brassica bed, which has been really fantastic actually. Yeah, we've got loads of just, it's nice to have this little space just to stick in bits and pieces that we had left over, and yeah, yeah, it's going really nicely. Obviously the main brassica beds are on Jenny's plot, we'll see those in a minute. Spring onions getting a bit overwhelmed by leaves from the trees. Some more, not radicchio, this chicory, and chard. And what else have we got around here? Just more spring onions in here, Chinese cabbage at the back, and lettuces in there. And then in the little greenhouse, just basically bits and pieces that we've got left. So we've got our Christmas potatoes, which are still doing pretty well. A little batch of lettuces just in case we need some spares. More spares up here, spares of chicory, and some little spares of brassicas. We probably won't need any of these, hopefully, unless we lose something to the slugs, but it's always useful just to have a few spares. So this will be all cleared out soon, and I think that is pretty much a quick whiz around my plot. Oh, I suppose I should just show you. Over here we've got the main winter carrot bed over here, which is doing quite well, and just the last sowing of golden beetroot and red beetroots here. And strictly speaking, we don't really need these, but well, you can never have too much, can you? You can always compost it. And January King cabbages. I noticed some other people have got January Kings and they're so far on. I was quite surprised really that they'll still be standing in January. But maybe people want them for earlier in the season, but in my case I want them for late in the season. And then this is my kind of little experimental patch of sprout leaves, and I do like sprout leaves, actually prefer them to sprouts. And so I've got 3 sprouts planted here, and again 3 plants here, and my hope is really they'll just keep on giving me these gorgeous leaves all the way through winter. I'm not bothered about the sprouts, but the sprout leaves are definitely worth having. And then down here I've got all my strawberries, early strawberries, ready to go into the polytunnel later on in the year. No, early next year, February time. So that's my plot. So here we are on Debbie's plot, and the red kale trees, which have actually looked gorgeous for the whole of the summer, and now they're still, the ones at the top, these on the top are still very nice actually, but obviously these are infested by whitefly. Lower down, so we've got strawberries here, colettes here, lots of colettes on there here, little herb bed, New Zealand spinach, another herb bed, more colettes, and then these are pretty precious. These are the claret broccoli, and these will be ready in March, April time, and they are looking pretty gorgeous. And then everything else around here is pretty much finished now. These are all the berries, black currants, a few more strawberries, fruit trees. Yeah, it's all done. Just a few perpetual strawberries in there. This time of year, you do still get a few, but not particularly sweet. And the apple trees. I've still got a few quite nice apples on here, which they're holding quite well. They're not fantastic taste though, so I'm using those in my smoothie at the moment. Smoothies are a great solution for good quality food that doesn't taste too fantastic. We've got a little bit of Carvalho Nero kale down there, and I think that's it. Let's get to Jenny's plot. And lots of work on Jen's plot, tidying it up and putting some new beds for strawberries and garlic mainly. Planted the onions and everything. I'll show you around. This is one of the new trees that we put in this year. I can't believe that a 1-year-old tree has done so well. So this is a Braben, and I've had the first Braben off it, and I'm pleased to say it was ripe. It's always a bit of an issue this far north getting Brabens to ripen, but definitely seem to have done. A gorgeous brassica bed here. So we've basically got colettes and kales down here, and there's some cabbages in here which are not going to do anything really, and then we've got all of our early broccolis down there, and then all of our late broccolis down there. So I love broccoli, and I love broccoli leaves as well, and oh, these leaves, fantastic. And we've got trees, plum tree, Concord pear tree, apple tree. This is a keeper, almost all of it's been picked now, and just missed a few here which I'll probably pick today actually. And then we've got the Golden Delicious, which we have left on here, because really at its best in November time. I think it's a good keeper, and there's quite a nice crop on here. Must be, I don't know, 30 or 40 apples, something like that. So I'm looking forward to picking that, although it's not my absolute favourite apple. It's nice to have something to eat later on in the year. We've also got lots and lots dehydrated. So on here I've got field beans, and these are growing quite nicely. This is going to be my brassica bed next year. I've got my main leek bed, which is pretty much untouched. We're harvesting the ones on my plot at the moment. We don't eat all the leeks, and this is more than enough for us. Colettes are all starting to grow really well. There'll be a lot more than that later on in the year. That's it's one of my favourite crops, although we do like the leaves off these as well, but this year with the white fly the leaves haven't been quite as good. These top ones are still quite nice, but I don't want to pick them because, you know, it's that little bit of top growth feeding the growth of all of those little colettes down there. Still getting some really nice leaves off this broccoli, purple sprouting broccoli. I think it's summer purple or something like that. And we always leave them in because we like the leaves. So now, by now you're fed up with me talking about brassica leaves. Anyway, down here we've got garlic, and I think it's just breaking through. I've got 3 rows in here, and these are all ones that we saved from last year's crop, and they all got muddled up, so we don't know what they are, but it doesn't really matter. We just keep on saving them from previous years, picking the best. So anyway, 3 rows of garlic in here, and then down the outside is going to be strawberries. I've got a row of garlic down here, again home saved ones, and then we've got 2 rows of garlic, elephant garlic, down the centre of this one, and again that's going to be strawberries down the outside, and then again home saved garlic on that edge there, some kales down here. Nothing in this bed. This is going to be the spring planted onions, and then loads and loads of stuff in this bed where the canes are, a mix of onions and garlic. And then down the end here is going to be the broad beans, which are planted in November, and more broad beans there. So that is pretty much it for Jen's plot. Harvest is definitely slowing down now. So I picked a few potatoes, some beets, carrots, chard, always reliable, New Zealand spinach, and true spinach, and mixed brassicas. These little what are they called, broccolini, really nice. Start of the purple sprouted broccoli again, all sorts of different mixed brassica leaves, and salads. Of course these are the ones with the radishes and the tomatoes and spring onions there for us. Everybody else just gets raw salad leaves, and a few leeks, and not many cucumbers left now, only a few. So that's one going for me. Okay, so that's today's harvest. Not too bad.